All right. So we watched a film, Food Fight, which is going to be coming
Both
up
of
here
you to
for all
call
of
it a
y'all.
film, legally a film. Yeah.
I think it's
Extremely.
technically a movie. It had a budget, so we're gonna play a game here. Ilion,
Fuck.
what was that budget? How much did they
I'm
spend
the only
on
one
this?
that doesn't know, right?
Yes.
You both looked at. Okay.
Yes.
It was in development hell for 10 years. It's got a lot of voice actors. $25 million.
Far too low.
Too low.
Holy fuck. That is not far too low.
Yeah,
you don't
dog.
understand. That is
Yeah,
not
no,
far
that's
too low.
that's too
the
low.
opposite.
Yeah, no. All right, keep going. What do we got?
$50 million.
Right
Keep
in the
going.
range.
No,
Yeah, that's
you're
right
getting
about
closer.
that,
You're
yeah.
getting closer.
Is it more? No, it can't be. Points, you can't tell me it's more than 50.
Oh, it's more. Yeah. Keep going.
Is this Jack and Jill level? Okay, 65.
Exactly right. 65 million.
All
Now,
right.
how much money did they make?
In the box office.
In
Yeah,
the
what's
box
the box
office.
office returns
What's
on
the
this
take?
65 million?
Wait, there can't be a box office return. Did it get a theatrical release?
Oh, it got a theatrical release. Yes.
Oh, fuck. No. Where?
I think this box office number might just be like all of the sales of this film total for what
Yes,
it is
total.
worth.
Sure.
All right, where are we at?
$100,000.
Closer than you'd expect,
Closer
but
than
too
you
high.
Too high.
That's
Yeah.
high. To be fair, I also thought that was high for how much money this movie should make. Okay, so like, I don't know, 50, 70.
73.
Holy shit.
73K. Welcome to Rough Cuts, everyone.
Dogs, they're coming. They're coming your way. They'll be here soon.
His name was Dexter, a great detective. And with his pal Daredevil Dan, he would always get his man. But when she vanished, he was a failure. So he stopped being a sleuth, cause he couldn't find the truth. Her name is Brand X, she is the new girl. And when she walked into his place, wow, the look on every face. But could he trust her? He didn't think so. Something didn't seem quite right. Tell me, what's an exobite?
So we have a special guest here today. We have our friend Ty Tuesday.
Hi, they bring me for the good movies.
Well, we had Ty here for our last Charlie Sheen dog movie. But All Dogs Go to Heaven too. So we had to bring him back for the next Charlie Sheen dog movie.
Yeah, this is a very dog character forward movie, isn't it? Like, this is maybe the most rough of rough cuts. He's always on
Yep.
screen. Yeah.
There is a dog
yeah.
on screen 90% of the time. They don't lie. I want to apologize to you a little bit here, Ty, in that, like, normally we try and save the ones that we think will be real stinkers for just Boykes and I and not bring special guests on.
Uh-huh.
But I specifically was like, Ty can handle this kind of thing. It's on brand.
Yeah,
He'll be
yeah.
all right.
For what it's worth, it's given me some closure because I've seen Food Fight and I've heard Food Fight separately on separate occasions, and now I get the cumulative experience of Food Fight all at once. And wow,
Yeah,
Wasn't as good
Wow.
as you imagine.
Somehow having seen both halves separately, I still think that was the preferable experience.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, okay, so Food Fight is a fully animated film. Well, okay.
No,
Well,
no,
let me-
no, it isn't. Excuse me, no, it isn't.
It's a CG
I saw
movie.
that dog drop out of a plane and like T-pose the whole way down.
Yeah, but it's okay. It's a CG movie. Let's go with that. It's 90 minutes in
Yes.
length.
Yes.
Well, I wouldn't even say it's a movie. It's a 90-minute in length CG thing.
Yes. It's a creation of 90 minutes. Yes.
Okay, Now, it was made by Threshold Digital Research Labs, which is the same company that did the Mortal Kombat movie animation, at least, for the really awful looking reptile. If you've ever seen that, it looks fucking terrible. Literally the worst part of that movie. They also did Annihilation and then a couple other random films up until Food Fight, which was supposed to come out in like 2002. But they lost all of their footage because their hard drives got stolen. So they ended up like redoing everything, mocapping all the new characters again, just to try and get it done. And then it sat in like release hell from 2003 to 2011.
You say mocap, I don't feel like they mocapped anybody.
I mean, they did. The issue is they mocapped like an average human and then put it
Yeah.
on a weird naked hamster model that's like a little
It's true.
orb, so it all looks
Oh my
so
God.
bad.
I
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
they mocapped for this?
They did mocap.
They mocapped because it was
yeah.
faster. And the
Yeah.
only way mocapping is faster is if you do the mocapping and then do no adjustment in post.
Yeah,
and you
just
just
don't-
take those, slap it in, and go, all right, let's ship it, baby.
Yeah. I do
Like-
want to point out that Fellowship of the Ring came out in 2001 and they mocapped Gollum for that. And holy shit, it's surprising like how incompetent the filmmakers were for this. But there's a little bit of background to that,
Mhm.
by the way. The director, I didn't write down his name, but he
Lawrence Kasner? No,
something
Lawrence
like that,
Kasanoff?
yeah.
Casanov. Yeah, I think it's something like that.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
mean
yeah, yeah.
one of the voice actors?
Yeah, who's also in the film.
Lawrence
Yes.
Casanov? Yes, yeah, that's who it
Uh,
was.
he fundamentally did not understand the difference between live action and animation, by the way. And he would tell the animators to do retakes. And to just make it 30% better and quote unquote more awesome. That was his direction for this film.
Oh, nice. So he was like a tech bro boss. Just
Yeah.
being like, yeah, can we just get the graphics on stage 3 tightened up a little bit? Thank you.
I was gonna
With
say, can we tighten
no
up the graphics?
direction.
And it shows. It
Tighten
shows.
up the graphics guy. Uh-huh.
Oh,
There
that
are
scene,
definitely some scenes where
Yeah.
they sure did put more elements in the scene multiple times, largely by copy pasting.
yeah, like,
or
well, that looks
JPEGs.
like I imagine they only had like 10 on screen, and then he came in. He's like, "Oh, can you make it like 30% more?" So they just copy pasted 30% more. He's like, "Oh yeah, that's great." Like, come on.
Lawrence Casanov, also famous for founding Lightstorm Entertainment with James Cameron.
What?
Yes.
How?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not joking. That's a
What?
real
So
thing.
should we go into the plot? The plot, I say with tremendous finger quotes, of this movie.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I just want to really quickly mention that Lightstorm Entertainment is the one that has done the productions on Terminator 2, Titanic, Avatar. So that has a connection to all of these. There is a 1 degree of separation between Titanic, Terminator, and Avatar. And
Yeah.
Food Fight.
So I guess the film starts. We're introduced to Dex Dog Detective, aka Charlie Sheen, on top of an air balloon fighting a rat and some naked hamsters. I guess I don't know what the point is. But...
Good detail about Dex Dog Detective that is super relevant for the entirety of the film is his jacket is like super well textured and like
Mhm.
looks like
Mhm.
good and has decent shaders on it.
Yes.
Dex in general is like not a good character model by any stretch, but like not god awful like a lot of the
Yeah.
rest of them.
Yeah.
But when he stands next to other characters, it really does like you're like, oh, that texture didn't load in. Oh no, that's what you went with. Uh-oh.
Mhm.
Uh-oh.
yeah,
This scene not being an exception. It literally happens frame 1 when those awful naked hamsters
Mhm.
are on the
Mhm.
balloon with him.
Like,
Oh.
I can tell they put more effort into that model because they were expecting it to be on screen longer. But then they kept bringing back the shitty models later. Like they didn't commit to anything.
The French cheese man is one of the hitty. There's a texture
Yeah.
problem on
There
a lot of the
is,
characters
yeah.
in this film.
There's a lot of really, really hideous skin conditions on a lot of different characters.
The only thing it was missing was the Doom fire texture. Really, like,
Yeah.
if you know what I'm talking about, it's the blue and red fire thing that shows up in
Mhm.
all the shitty Doom ones,
Mhm.
all the worst ones. But yeah, so they're fighting on top of there just to introduce our character, who is a dog detective superhero who can save cats that rotate around in a basket without moving. They didn't even animate it.
Yeah, so we get a high action scene of kung fu hairless. He calls them hamsters. I thought they were
I think
pigs.
they're supposed to be. I think they're supposed to be like naked mole rats.
Yeah.
But
I have no idea what they're supposed to be. He calls them hamsters, so they fight. I'm going to call them hamsters because that's what the movie calls them. So they're hamsters. I don't know. And canonically, obviously, hamsters love cheese, so he pulls out a cheese and throws it off, and they all just fall off after the cheese, the thing that you would do. He pops the air balloon, does a nice T-pose, and they pull the model slowly through the scene.
Yeah, no, they just drag it. Yeah.
They just drag it through the scene, and then how does he fall? Does he land in the plane?
He just
What
fucking
happens
lands on
from
his
there?
feet.
Does he just land on the ground?
Yeah,
Okay.
to a crowd of people. Yeah.
Right. I couldn't remember exactly how that ended. I'm like, he didn't have a parachute or anything. I think that he just does a landing.
And then his friend is a Daring Dan, the Wayne Brady chocolate chipmunk.
Daredevil Dan. Yeah.
Daredevil Dan. Okay. Daredevil Dan shows up crying chocolate tears, I guess, because they really need to make sure you know he's black.
Yeah, there's like a lot of like weird,
yeah,
like just different coding of ethnic groups and races across this film, and it always sucks. It always sucks. Like, do you think they do a Chinese stereotype? You bet. You think they do a black stereotype? You bet. Jewish stereotype? You bet, man.
Yeah, it's there. Yep.
Everyone's here.
They even have an Italian stereotype that is a moose for some reason.
Right? I forgot.
Yeah,
the moose.
they do. Yeah.
Why is it a moose?
French stereotypes. Like, it was made by an old white guy. You can tell.
Like, I just want to. I'm not going to go into it any further than this, but it sucks exactly as much as I'm going to say it. There is a character named Kung Tofu. There you go. That's enjoy. That's what you get.
So, Dex Detective goes out on a date with his girlfriend Sunshine Goodness, who is a cat girl from a different game / movie.
Well, she's from Second Life.
Yeah, she looks like a Second Life model. She is apparently the brand mascot for detergent, but also raisins. Yeah. Like, it's there's like some confusion what she exactly is a mascot of. Also, I think this is where they mention the brand, the product mascots are called Ikes, which
Ikes, yes. So they're called Ikes because they're brand icons, and they think icon shortened would be Ike. That's literally it. It's the dumbest thing.
So basically the core conceit of this film is the whole concept of Toy Story, where like when all the humans are out of the room, the toys all come to life, except it's when all the humans are out of the supermarket, the brands come to life, but also sometimes when they're in the market, and
they're
also sometimes they're not in the supermarket, they're in some like facsimile of the market, which is just a city. It's just a city.
And sometimes they go into the liminal space in the freezer aisle that just happens to be a snow mountain. And sometimes they have day for night in their animated film.
Their animated movie. Yeah.
One of the most baffling shots I've ever seen. And you saying the director didn't know the difference between live action and animated, like, legitimately makes a lot of sense. They literally just like slap a blue filter over a shot, and it's like, you realize you have control over the light sources, right?
Yeah. No, they can. But no, they just data night the shot. It's so bad.
And sometimes it's day, and all the brand mascots are going and having a war through the aisles, but there's no people in the store anymore because they don't need them.
That one battle takes place over like 4-day night cycles. It's ridiculous.
Yes.
Like, there's no time. There's no sense of time or location or scale or anything. It's so
It really
weird.
does feel like a film that was supposed to, for some godforsaken reason, be like
Yeah.
3 hours and ends up being slammed into 90 minutes. But
Yeah.
I can't imagine this film being longer.
But they introduce
No.
us to a clipboard man from brand X who is going to take over the supermarket with his generic brand and ruin all these other brands' reputations so they get put on clearance aisle instead because generic brand X way better than Hawaiian Punch, I guess.
Yeah, I want to point out here. So there's two things that I want to make
Yeah.
clear here. A, our Dex dog detective is Charlie Sheen. Wayne
Yes.
Grady is Daredevil Dan. Hilary Duff is Sunshine Goodness, the cat
Yes.
girl wife. And Christopher Lloyd is Mr. Clipboard. I need to point out who the actors are for this because this thing is such an unreal pile of shit, and it's incredible to point out who actually acts them because it
I mean, you know who else is in this movie? So Jerry Stiller, which we were talking about before
Cloris
we started.
Leachman,
Cloris Leachman.
Academy Award winner, Cloris
Yeah,
Leachman.
Ed Asner, which makes sense. And of course, Chris Kattan.
Yeah,
Of course.
I mean, again, they raised a ton of money for this movie. Like,
Yeah.
they went to every
Yeah.
brand and said, money, please. We're going to make a movie for your brands. Who's the villain? Generic brands. And then all the board members nut simultaneously and
They
said,
all nut.
here's $20 million.
Except for Chester Cheetah, who slowly zips his pants up and leaves. The one smart brand.
When Chester Cheetah is the wise one in the room, you know you have made a mistake.
And Little Debbie also left. And Count Chocula is like, oh no, I'm good.
I had a really hard time figuring out which of these were real brands and which of them weren't, because I just don't. I guess that I don't know brands enough, which I'm very
Yeah.
proud of. Honestly, watching
Yeah.
this, I was like,
I was gonna say,
Oh.
yeah, I think American media in particular had like the assault of brand commercials to just a much higher degree on average.
Like, let's say
Sure.
you're a board member and you're pitching this film for $65 million to companies.
they were
and the
pitching more
only-
than this film.
No, and a tent. But the only, and obviously they're pitching a tent. There's so much fucking innuendo in this film. But also,
Yeah,
the only market you can sell this to is, guess what? America. It's all American brands. Where do you
Yeah,
sell this
yeah,
fucking
that's-
movie?
good. That's a good point, actually. To be
Like,
Speaking
were they
of
going to
them
digitally
removing-
replace them? How?
Yeah, speaking of them removing Count Chocula and replacing
Yeah.
them with Vlad Chakul, can we talk about briefly why did
Yeah.
they gay code Count Chocula?
Look,
what led to that decision?
We all know that Count Chocula fucks, right?
Yeah.
That's a
Mhm,
given.
mhm.
But I don't know.
I
why
just
they needed
assumed
the
all
gay code.
vampires are bi. I guess I was
Yeah,
wrong
that's
in this
what I
case.
thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, no, that's what I thought. But I mean, it's clear that Booberry and Frankenberry are, but
It's just so weird too, because they play it as like an awkward joke thing, which of course,
Yeah.
homophobia, why not?
Haha,
like,
funny. Yeah.
They like don't lean in enough to make it like a kids movie joke, but they lean in enough that it's like, I'm uncomfortable with this.
I'm starting to realize that the potato ship captain was probably supposed to be Captain Crunch. Also,
Oh,
I think some of
maybe.
the more generic like things were supposed to be like they put them in like, look, this could be your brand, and then they
Yeah.
said no.
we do
Yeah.
also hit the Marvel
Right.
Disney problem as well, where they refuse to show any of the brands getting
That's-
injured
yeah.
or doing
Yes.
anything like violent or anything. So there's always these weird voids where you won't see any real brands for like 10 minutes, and then you'll see Mr. Clean in the background of 45 shots in a row.
Yeah,
And it's-
Mr. Clean shows
Nope.
up so much in this movie.
I was going to mention that. That was the other thing that I was going to mention about
Yeah.
the brands when I was saying like, oh, I needed to mention the actors, because in the scene when Mr. Clipboard comes in, he grabs a brand off the shelf and stomps on it, and the store owner's like, "No, oh God, the brand." And
My
like,
generic
no one,
brand
no
of
one got to
chips.
enjoy these chips.
yeah.
But that's the way it was done. Yeah.
Immediately, I was like, "Oh, okay, so that's not a real brand because no brand would actually allow themselves to be harmed." And
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
immediately I looked at it and I'm like, "Oh yeah, this is some like generic, it just says like kettle chips and there's no
Yeah.
branding on it." And I'm like, yep, yeah, it's one of those. You can't have the Vlasic duck stork thing or whatever.
If they
actually,
beheaded
you
the
know.
Vlasic pickle stork, this movie would be way better. Throwing that out there.
I don't disagree. If they had actually kept all the brands, this movie would be way
Yeah.
more interesting, but
Yeah.
it's not.
Like, just impale the fucking Hawaiian Punch Man. I'm not asking for much. Come on.
They have him in here, so.
Oh, man,
All right,
step on a
Mr. Clipboard
Twinkie,
comes
anything.
in.
Fuck.
Mr. Clipboard comes in, and then Mr. Clipboard's animation is also real incredible. They have
It's very good.
They have some strong animations, if you can call it that, for a lot of these. As Ty was saying, a lot of the animations are just smear frames. Like they just kind of resize stuff instead of actually animating it, and a lot of the models just they end up being weird, stretchy puppets that do incredibly unrealistic and like bone-breaking horror things. They're all animated.
And Borks, you mentioned that this was supposed to originally be animated in the style of like Looney Tunes, like that was
Correct.
the initial pitch.
They wanted to smear frame Looney Tune it. Yeah.
Yeah, and like there's one character in particular, the one that is voiced by Lawrence Kasanoff, the director, Cheezel T. Weasel,
Thank you. I wanted to say
who
Cheezel
is
Weasel.
perpetually wet. They made
Yes.
a weasel character who is
Yeah.
perpetually wet, and there's so many times where his model distorts or like the FOV gets screwy around him or his head just gets huge, and it sucks to look at, man. It really sucks. Like they did
everything
3D...
else in the film is mocapped human movement in some way.
Yeah.
And then this fucking weasel.
It like moves like Looney Tunes combined with The Ring in a lot of situations.
Yeah.
There's a part where it like clings to the wall and is like climbing along the wall, and I'm like, this is a rejected horror animation. Like, sucks.
The only way that you can describe some of Cheezel T. Weasel's movements is skittering. It skitters across like the roof at various points. I was going to mention that you called one of the characters a ring character, and there's a few of them that kind of move like that at various points.
You could recut some of those scenes to horror music and it would look right. For sure.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
But yeah, you can only describe this weasel as slick.
Yeah. But back to the plot. So Sunshine Goodness goes missing for no reason in particular.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like this is a common problem in this film is they like forget to do plot points and then just go to the next scene and they're like, oh, I can't believe plot point happened. And it's like, why did you not show that?
Yeah. So we're then taken to Dex Detective and pals going to the Copa Banana Club, which is the Casablanca Club. Obviously.
Yeah. Oh, I want to point out that sounds like a joke. It's not a joke. It's not.
They just go to the Casablanca Club where the California Raisins are playing. Yep.
There's so much in this movie that we just got to be quiet on.
Yep.
That's
and then the horniest detergent mascot that has ever been invented walks in, and every single mascot wants to bone this detergent. At the same time,
I hate the amount of times they implicate the brand's fuck, which is like a lot in this movie.
They all get together and fuck except Mr. Clean.
Yeah,
he's the only one.
Mr. Clean, who is clearly a Puritan.
Yeah, Mr. Clean gets filthy, but on his own time.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Exactly.
He doesn't want to do it with anybody else.
You don't want to be in Mr. Clean's dungeon for sure.
So she asks out Wayne Brady character, Daredevil Dan, and they leave the club because she loves chocolate. Great. And then Daredevil Dan goes missing. So then Dex Detective's like, I really failed finding Sunshine Goodness. I fucked that up. And I spent like 3 minutes looking for her. But I'm not going to give up on my friend Dan.
Yeah, they have a whole scene of him just being, oh man, I only spent 30 seconds looking for my hot cat girl wife, but I
Yeah.
should probably spend a little more time looking for my friend, I guess.
There
Yeah.
is a part, by the way, after Sunshine Goodness goes missing, and this is very easy to miss because it's mentioned once and then they just go past it, and time is already super fake in this movie and the timelines make no sense. It's 6 months that passes
Yes.
between the
Yes.
first scene and the second scene. Yeah, they're just like, yeah, 6 months passed, he didn't find her. The end. 500
But
successful cases. Now
I was going to, yeah, I was
It's
going to
6
mention
months
that.
of movie time, but it's like 10 seconds real time.
Yeah, because the scene where she disappears, what
Yeah.
happens is he's going to propose to her, but Daredevil Dan is flying his plane and distracts her. Daredevil Dan tries a loop-the-loop and crashes, and she goes, oh, I should check and make sure he's okay. And she walks away, and then he goes, I should go after them. And he stands up and walks out, and then he sees Daredevil Dan, and he goes, where's Sunshine? And they go, I don't know, no! And then it's just next scene 6 months later.
But you forget. Okay, you say next scene 6 months later, but the way this movie does transitions is literally just cut. There's just a hard cut transition every transition with no.
Oh yeah,
no
no, they don't
setup
say 6 months later or show anything. They just
There's
suddenly...
no establishing shots in this movie.
Yeah, the only reason why we know
Yeah.
that is because they mention it in conversation where he's like, well, I've
Yeah.
been looking for her for 6 months, and it's about 10 minutes later that he says it, so...
And they
Right.
passively like try to also implicate that he has like a drinking problem with milk
Mhm.
Yeah,
at this
that's true.
point. But again, they don't.
I'd say with what he's drinking, it is a problem, yes.
Yeah, they also just don't give enough time to like any of these little side elements they try to do. It's agonizing.
I
So
love that Ty
anyways,
just glossed over
yeah.
what I was trying to
No,
reference
I'm getting to
there.
that.
Oh, are we talking about the dog cum?
So Dex Dog Detective is back in his office drinking a mug of cum. No, yeah, and he drops the mug, and all the cum spills on the floor.
It is
As-
like liquid physics on par with if you've ever seen the video Hot Chocolate High Velocity, where like a nozzle just sprays out brown fluid. It's that. It's that. all
No,
over
and
the
it's
floor.
the same mug that John Arbuckle drinks from, so you know what it is. and then the hot detergent lady comes in and just starts talking about wanting to fuck them. I just want to fuck you, over and over.
You're not wrong about this. It's
No.
very explicit for a kid's film and how
I
much
wrote
it just...
down tango fuck for this scene because that's what they do.
Is this the
Yeah.
thing where she starts punch kicking everything in her room?
Yeah, she's breaking everything in the room while they're
Yeah.
dancing, and also like they're having a discussion to move the plot forward of Dex being like, "Hey, I know y'all are up to some shit. I know you aren't on the level," and she just keeps replying with, "Yeah, but like, you want to bone down?"
But she's
Yeah.
got like a nice... You know that she's innocent because she has a huge wall of knives. She
Oh,
kicks
yeah, yeah.
first.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, if we didn't mention it, by the way, all the Brand X stuff is like overtly Nazi coded, like as
Right.
hard as
Oh, yes.
possible, like
yes.
doing the walk and all that. Yeah, it's real egregious. They have to make sure generic brands are bad and evil, and only
Yeah.
only trust your
Also-
favorite brands, please.
If generic brand ever won, then the entire land of brand would be over. Your whole life would end. How would you ever get by without brand?
Oh my god.
This
Sorry, you
movie...
just described utopia on Twitter.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
This movie is like the fever nightmare of those people on Twitter that were like, look, I went to socialist Cuba and the shelves are empty. There's only one brand for things. And it's
Yeah.
just like full shelves, but there's not 12 different brands of, ravioli canned. It's, oh no, the apocalypse. Like,
So-
it frames it that
Yeah.
way.
But as she's knocking him out, because she hits him during the tango fuck, and knocks him out to take him prisoner or something. And she says like, we could have been pals. We could have been like, like Garfunkel and Oates. We could have been like scotch and tape.
Which those are not two things.
That's one thing. Lady, that's one thing. That's not two at all. Yeah, what the
I want to
fuck?
say when we're talking about like the things that she's saying and how explicit it is. For example, like Daredevil Dan at one point, like how sexually explicit all this is, he mentions that he's going to give her his chocolate frosting.
Correct.
And like she says things like, "Oh, I'm detergent. You want to rub one out with me?" Like she's like, it's like, wait, what? Like, it really is that much. Like it just
it's
goes
past
there.
innuendo and just straight dirty talk. Yes, it's weird. But so she knocks him out and takes him to her dryer dungeon.
Right. Yes.
I don't know what that's about.
Well, she's detergent, I guess. So
But
Yeah,
but that's not detergent. That would be a like a dryer sheet. That's different than detergent. That's what doesn't make sense.
I mean,
Shouldn't have been a washing machine, but they didn't know
Also,
how to
look,
animate water.
I'm
so
not
that's-
one to complain about inconsistent scale in a CG
Yeah.
film based off of Toy Story, but like your comment of liminal spaces is like so accurate because like here as well, it's like the concept of a dryer, but also it's like super huge. It would be like the size of a house.
uh-huh.
It's really confusing. Like they're in a drum, there's a bunch of fire behind them, and I guess that's dangerous or
I
bad somehow.
guess. Yeah.
It also has red lighting. Like there's like red light bulbs all around the inside of the dryer, which made me not realize it was a dryer for a long time because I was like, where are they that it's got all these red light bulbs lined up around it? Like there's just strips of red light bulbs inside the dryer.
Right.
It's everything is a weird, frightening liminal space where sense and scale and everything just don't matter. Like earlier in the punch fight scene, she's like knocking over a bird cage, and it's a normal sized bird cage until she hits it, when it becomes the size of a house instantly.
It just changes size.
And the cage is animated, and the birds just go from being inside of it to on the layer on top of the cage, and then fly away.
Yes. Yeah. I have a funny tidbit for you. Most, if not all, of the animators of this film removed this from their resume. That's a fact. That's not a joke.
I can't imagine why. So they grab onto a sock and they go, "Oh, like that's how you get out. You always lose one in a pair," and they fly out of the dryer, I guess.
So if they're in the dryer with clothes, why is there literally only one sock in there? They needed to animate more things.
They couldn't animate more things.
You have to understand, it's a mushi. It's like a remnant spirit of a sock that's been there in the
Oh,
past. It's a wandering soul of a sock
It pops
that just
in and out of
happens to
existence.
exactly,
Right. Yeah,
exactly.
okay.
Depending on if it's needed, it's a quantum ghost of a sock,
It's like when you try to plug in a USB stick and you flip it and then you flip it back
and it
until
works.
you look at it
Mhm.
or flip it twice. It's a quantumly wrong
Yeah.
on both sides. Yeah.
A
Yeah, much as
superpositional sock.
Yeah.
Much as the way that the dryer is a liminal space, this is a
I feel like we're getting very philosophical about this.
This sock also exists in a liminal space. This is
Fuck. So
These
they
are
break
the
out.
ideas of a thing, not actually the thing.
They break out, but now that our Nazi detergent is mask off, she she talks to her lizard man Nazi, Jesus Christ, captain, about
Jerry Stiller.
Yeah, about solving their problem of taking over the world with Gen X by pinning the bad things that they're doing on everybody. So she's just going to literally frame everybody for everything
It rocks.
that they do.
Yeah, it absolutely rocks. Because what they're doing is they're like, all right, we're going to kill a bunch of the
Yeah.
sugar cereals, and then we're going to dump them in the toothpaste aisle so that people think toothpaste did it because they hate him.
Yeah.
And like, he turns back and he's like, well, should we frame anyone else for anything? And she's just like, frame everybody, which I love. I love the concept of, fuck
Yeah.
it, frame all of them. Like, no one's
Yeah.
innocent.
Yeah.
Everybody, I need you to touch this gun. No reason. Everybody come touch this.
Oh my god.
We found some fingerprints on the gun. Whose? All of them.
Everyone.
All fingerprints.
So Dex and Dan show up to the nose, who knows what the nose knows. And he uses his big nose to smell out Gen X which smells like a perfume, and realizes that it's highly addictive. That's going to ruin all of the brands because of the addictive qualities of non-brand. Which this says a lot about how the brands don't understand themselves, I think, because what the fuck? Like,
as I realize that now too, actually,
Yeah.
they did an unintentional thing here. They're
Yeah.
trying to show how evil brands are, like brand X is,
mhm.
and so like, oh, you need to trust non-generic brands because like generic brands, they'll put drugs in your food to addict you. Except
That's
we
what
know
they're
that-
doing, though.
Well, no.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, except that we know that what was Brand X's smell thing again? Oh, it was Sunshine Goodness's essence because all of the actual brands do that.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was really good. Just like, oh no, they're gonna hook children with drugs, and I think it was Alien. I think you in the middle. You were just like, oh, you mean like they're gonna lure the children in with characters and advertisements that appeal to them,
Yeah,
and then get them long
and put a
term
bunch
loyal?
of sugar and corn
Huh.
syrup in there.
Yeah,
and
a bunch
wow,
of
that'd be
caffeine,
weird.
random stuff. Could no one does that.
It doesn't make sense. Who would do that? Yeah, it's strange. Why would we? I mean,
Oh,
there's no
man.
reason for us to have an anthropomorphic cat girl as our mascot, besides the fact that
Well,
it doesn't
the reason
appeal
is
to children. No.
but it appeals to the anime audience, so we need to get the anime audience. And, yeah. Also, she's only a cat girl sometimes.
Yeah, she's a cat girl in person, but they like remove the ears for her product shoots, I guess, which seems even stranger.
I think they just used a model that didn't have the ears and forgot about it.
Mm-mm.
I think that's all it was. They just
Oh,
literally
sure.
didn't remember if it had ears or not.
Her
It
second life
has
portrait didn't have
troubling
ears.
implications for the actual like film, though. There's
Yeah.
a lot of things that they didn't think through for the implications.
Oh man. So we go back to the Casa Banana club, right? So that we can get another California Raisins dance number. Very important. And then the Nazi mosquito stormtroopers show up outside. Fuck. From Brand X. And they break into the club and demand that they all sing the Brand X theme, which is just "I love Brand. Brand is great."
It's just like Brand X, simple and good. Brand X, you gotta love it, baby. Give it up for Brand X. It's nothing. A woo.
Brand X, simple and good. Brand X, simple and good. And they're doing like these like,
X.
yeah,
They're doing like
X,
the Generation X suck it thing from like WWE.
Yes, they are. Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
I'm getting some mixed messages. To be fair, it's weird. But so then they sing the song and tell them to get the fuck out of their club, which they do for some reason. And then they come back with an even bigger army, and the 30 to 45 minute fucking war scene starts.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I want to mention though that inside of the Copa Banana, when you said that it was like the Casablanca Club, that's not a joke. I thought that I was making a joke, but they keep referencing Casablanca to a point where I'm like, oh no, they meant that. That was a thing.
Mhm.
They have to show how much they've coded these villains, the generic brands, as Nazis. They have them come in and sing their brand song, but then the heroes come in and they play their own brand mascot song, but drown out the Nazis until the Nazis quiet up and have to
that's what
be
it was.
quiet.
Yeah.
Like they do the full like the scene in Casablanca that's super famous because it is actual people that are like that fled from France singing the French national anthem, like the actors themselves. Like it's filmed during the war and they don't know if they can ever go home, so it's like this huge emotional moment that like the actors aren't even really acting. That's what they decided to reenact for their food fight brand movie.
Right.
Like,
But
holy shit. It's
there's that. Yes, and it makes no fucking sense. But at the same time, the next scene is just our Brand X lady in her X-Men costume lifting up her leg as a bunch of drones fly out between her like fucking legs. Like
It's like almost like a shot from God. Was this part of like Pink Floyd's The Wall? I think had like a
Kinda,
similar shot to this.
yeah.
Where there was like
Mhm.
a lady raising her leg and like trying to do like a seductive angle as like war fighters fly past in the distance. It's like this
It's art.
whole thing about the seduction of war and
Yeah.
like the what it
No, like this movie is an art piece, is what we need to understand. This is their magnum opus.
they were like, how
Yeah.
much good art can we co-opt for brands before we're done here?
No, we don't have any original ideas, but we'll steal yours for brand.
And then we'll
Yeah.
turn it into a generic, branded
A
product.
branded product. Yeah. Fucking A.
It's incredibly offensive how much they do that. Like, honestly, I'm the whole Casablanca thing. It's like, God, it's pretty offensive, honestly. And the general. I just want to mention like General X here again a minute for like because it's Jerry Stiller as
Yeah.
quite literally a lizard-faced Nazi guy. Like they make him a reptile lizard person
And a pervert. Yeah.
But yeah, I was gonna say but Ty nailed the voice earlier. It was, I can't even do it. I can't do it. Ty did a better job of it.
Hello, I'm here to do pervert things and be a little
Yes,
Nazi
yes.
pervert man. It's
Yes.
me.
Yes.
And when they go far enough that at the end when he has his death scene, although I mean like they don't kill him, but like when he's exiting the film and being defeated, he goes, I think I wet myself. And I like it.
It feels rather nice.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yes.
I am a
God.
man who enjoys pissing on myself.
Oh, I sure do
Yeah,
love
great.
this.
Fucking great. Ooh.
They literally make a piss Nazi like, as the villain.
Right. But okay, they do make a piss Nazi, but they also drop biological weapons on these food mascots and then kill the fucking Kid Cuisine penguin.
Yeah, the implication is that Brand X has found some kind of substance that is the opposite of a preservative, which is good, and you should want those, and you should want to eat as many preservatives as you can. But this is I don't even think they like give a name for it because they realize like you can't like post-servative isn't anything.
They call it it's a post-servative instead of a preservative. Yeah, that's as far as they got.
Yeah, so it just
Far as
makes
they got.
them it makes the brands expire, aka it kills them, but only temporarily so we can bring the brands back at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize. I thought the Penguin Kid Cuisine knockoff mascot was a real mascot for a long time until they actually killed it off. And I was like, oh, never mind. No brand would allow that. Never
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand now.
They drop fucking biological weapons on like Mr. Clean. What the fuck? What the fuck? This sounds like a joke, but it's not. That's just the movie. Fuck.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So they then talk our weasel friend, cheesy. What the cheesy T?
Cheezel T Weasel.
Weasel.
I hate that fucking name. I hate this weasel so much. It's just uncomfortable to look at. But he breaks into
The T is for terrifying.
Yeah, he breaks into the complex where Brand X is located and shuts off their security system by knocking down a pole and killing one of their generals at the same time.
Well, it's not about knocking out the security system. It's about something way dumber.
Is it?
It was
Yes.
Yeah, because this is when they put a bunch of like balls of foil and folded them into different shapes and put them on top of all the buildings except for Brand X's building. And the idea was Cheezel the Weasel was going to knock down the power line, which would start a lightning storm inside of the theoretical space inside of the supermarket, and then every place would be hit, or only Brand X would be hit by the lightning because all the rest of them had lightning rods, which means they don't attract the lightning, as we all know.
What?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Ty,
Again,
Ty has
it's
this exactly, yes.
it's way stupider than you thought. Yeah, it makes no sense.
I also want to point out that the way that Cheezel T. Weasel infiltrated all of this, which, by the way, infiltrating all of this was a street. He goes onto a street and cuts down a power pole on the street. But the way
With
that
the
he infiltrates...
chainsaw from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, yeah.
Yes, but the way
Yeah.
that he infiltrates this is they are talking about, and they're like, oh, somebody could go through the sewers. And then Cheezel T. Weasel pops out of the sewers, slick as usual. And then they go, hey, go back through the sewers. And he goes, sure, I love it in there. That's my home. And he
I'm
jumps
covered in shit. I love it.
Well, that was
Yeah,
the thing, is they
yeah.
animated the shit. He jumps into the sewer, and they have a big spew of brown flush out after him. They actually
Jesus.
do that. That's not
They
a
do,
joke.
yeah.
That's the thing they do.
So after the building got struck by lightning, which carved a wedge into it, by the way, I guess that's how lightning works. Then Dex breaks into the building to go save Sunshine Goodness by killing our weird pervert Nazi. And
Oh, for the record, if it seems like we're
Yeah.
skipping a lot, or like there's no way this film jumps from here to there as fast
No, it
as
does.
it's because in the background there's 30 minutes of just generic bad animated fight war, including the most copy paste I have ever seen in an animated film. Like
oh, man.
far and away the most egregious copy paste to fill time. And yeah, so like this whole sequence is taking like 30 minutes, and it's like 1 minute, if that, of actual like progress to the story,
Mhm.
and then 5 minutes of Mr. Clean standing in the middle of the street going, "My God, the humanity!" and then running off.
As like the liquid from the Kool-Aid Man is draining out between his hands.
Oh no! This one time! Oh no!
Yeah,
Stay
and
with
the-
me, buddy.
And the Tootsie Pop Owl is like limping down the street behind him.
It only took one bullet to get to my center hole.
I'm glad you beat me to it. How many knives to get to the center of the Tootsie Roll Owl? Oh,
Just
God.
one.
Okay.
They have like the weird Nazis climbing up like the building,
Yeah.
like trying to scale with grappling hooks, but they want to have it as a huge battle scene, like as examples, and so
Yeah.
they show 5 of them all doing the exact same animation at the same time, and then scaling the building at the exact same rate. Like it's just copy paste everything throughout this entire sequence. They have like a pie catapult, and then they just start spawning pies into the scene. Like they don't show them coming off the catapults.
They just spawn.
They just spawn in because
They
why would you
also
animate it?
copy paste the explosion reactions to the things that are happening. Like the whole thing is just. It's
Oh,
there's a
we
lot
did-
of
We did forget to mention Alien's favorite scene at this point, the one that they played the exact same footage.
Yes, I was
Outside
going to
of
mention.
the
Yeah, I was
Marvel
gonna say,
movie.
Yeah, go ahead.
there's a-
Go ahead.
There's a lot of them using the same footage over and over again too at later points in the film, hoping that you forgot. I made a guess early on
Yeah.
where they showed the supermarket closing, and then they show a single car backing out, hitting a shopping cart, and then leaving, which they then do like 4 or 5 different times.
Like literally the identical animation of one car in the parking lot, backing out to the right, bumping into a cart, and
Yeah.
driving straight off.
Yep.
Like verbatim. It's, again,
You know,
in a good movie, this would be a comedy bit.
yes,
this.
the
this
first
would be
time
a-
that I saw it, I was like, "Oh, they're gonna use that every time, aren't they?" And they sure
They
fucking
sure
did.
So Dex saves Sunshine Goodness, who has now been tattooed with an X on her neck. Fucking A. And then he finds out, like, oh, Brand X is just.
Oh my God, it
your
just hit me that the
smell.
tattoo on the neck. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, no, yeah,
Christ.
it's bad.
Holy shit. How did
It's
I not
bad.
piece that together? Oh my God.
I didn't see that, but that's
Yeah,
oh
she has
boy.
a tattoo
Yeah.
with an X on her neck, which.
No, it's awful.
Oh.
literal branding.
But they used her essence, her smell, from her detergent body to be the addictive quality for Brand
Yeah,
X.
nothing quite drives the children wild like the smell of raisins. I guess.
Raisin
I
detergent.
guess,
Yes.
Raisin detergent. I fucking love my raisin smelling clothes.
So I think what it is she is the raisins. It's Lady X who is the detergent one explicitly.
Oh,
Which,
is
by
that
the way,
it?
Yes.
I
Okay.
think we
Yeah,
forgot
Lady
to
X is the
mention
detergent, yeah.
who voices Lady X, the evil seductress, because it's Eva Longoria, which is
Yeah.
this is like Eva Longoria when she was like expensive, if I remember right. This was like Desperate Housewives era Eva
It is,
Longoria.
yeah.
So
Yes. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
the $65 million budget did go somewhere. It seems like it went to voice actors.
Yeah. So the building that's been struck by lightning that has a wedge cut out of it from the top, the top part starts to fall, and by fall I mean hang in midair, above
Unattached by anything,
the-
yes.
turning on a fulcrum
Mhm.
as it slowly falls, and then our Daredevil Dan saves them by doing the loop de loop.
To get there faster, yes. The only
'Cause
the
by
only way
speeding
that
up,
he can
yeah.
get there fast enough is by going from the spot where he is directly below them and loop-de-looping around to the spot directly below them.
To the same spot, yeah.
The fastest way to do
Uh,
anything, as people know, is the loop-de-loop.
And then
do you
they
think
land-
they did
Oh,
the whole
man.
he can't do a loop de loop thing and then later on realized, oh right, loop de loop is like useless as an actual maneuver. It's just for stunts. I guess it's fair they didn't want to be like, he's going for another Immelman turn. Just-
yeah. I mean, I suspect because they didn't understand the difference between live action and animation, they also didn't understand anything about planes or flying.
Fair.
I think they're just very not good.
Early on, they had the
Yeah.
problem of introducing Chekhov's loop-de-loop, and they needed to bring it back. So.
Yeah. Well, they could have just dropped it. I already forgot.
Oh,
didn't care.
yeah, no, there was no reason for them to bring it back.
Oh my god. So then we get the worst kung fu fight of all time. Where Sunshine Goodness
right.
and Brand X woman fight on the street as she's lifting her melons and throwing them. And
Particularly, it's because Dex Dog Detective is being attacked by Lady X and refuses to hit a woman ever. To like, even as she is holding like lethal things over his head and going like, I do fully intend to murder you, Dex Dog Detective, and he's just
Yeah.
like, can't hit a lady.
Well,
Which,
well, he says he can't hit a lady, and then she says size counts only for men.
oh right, I forgot. Did we
Yes.
forget to mention that Clipboard Man is a robot?
Oh, we did. Yeah, Clipboard Man
Yeah.
showed up, and he's a robot with her
So
in
Clipboard Man somehow invades the world of the brand icons and is just like
it. Yeah.
a giant man in the middle of the streets, which represent the aisles, but aren't the aisles, but he's
Right.
there. And who's the caveman?
Like,
You
and
say
now I'm
streets,
in the ice, and you're out there, and yeah.
you say streets, but I want to point out for a moment that Boyks noticed that there's a point in the distance where they just kind of stopped rendering streets. 'Cause
Yeah.
they just didn't want to. Like when you see
Yeah,
a shot
we're
of
done.
the whole city, it goes for about 2/3 of the screen, and then all of a sudden it's just void because they didn't bother to do the rest of it. 'Cause
Yeah,
they're
like,
fuck
this
it,
isn't a
it's good."
case of like they stopped making the city and then after that line it's like regular texture. It's just there is no texture. There's just
nothing.
Yeah,
But-
I feel like what was it? Toy Soldiers? Is that the movie I'm thinking of? Or
small soldiers.
Small Soldiers.
Mhm.
When did that come out? Because that did this idea so much better. 98.
But
98.
yeah, like Kai was saying, like
What
the
the fuck?
models are just floating in a void. Like there's just a textureless area,
Yeah.
and then there's still buildings there, but they're just
Yeah.
they're just hovering.
So yeah,
Yeah.
but giant Mr. Clipboard Man is roaming around trying to cause problems, and I literally cannot remember how he is defeated, but he at some point falls over, and Lady X comes out and goes, I was a robot the whole time.
I remember.
Yes,
Yeah.
please, thank you.
He get because we just did this. We literally just did this. He gets fucking added.
He does, yeah.
They get a bunch of
Right. Yeah, they pull
Listerine
string.
branded tooth floss or whatever and wrap it around his legs and add at him. Yes.
Great. How many movies are we going to watch in a row?
Where a
that
man
will do
gets
that?
added.
Yeah. Jesus.
Good question.
So-
It's been a lot.
So then Sunshine Goodness and Brand X lady kung fu fight. Kind of, not really. It's more like their fists stopped in front of the model. Like they could actually they could hit each other.
I
It's
just
a
realized
CG space.
there is one sequence that is so jarring that I want to step
Yeah.
back to it
Oh,
and
go
talk
ahead,
about
yeah.
it because it takes roughly 15 seconds and is
Mhm.
utterly baffling. After they've done the whole lightning plan and Brand X building is cracked open and all that,
Mhm.
Dex Dog Detective explains, because the part of this plan is I'm going to go in and break their entire poison supply
Right.
so that like they can no longer kill the brands. So he goes in the building, throws his grappling hook around a tank and just gently pulls on it, and it just explodes the whole tank across the entire factory. And then it cuts from that, and then he's just upstairs with
Yeah, no,
Sunshine, and it's just
they
like,
resolved
yeah, it's
it.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
We're
just
done
resolves
now.
it. They're like, oh no, the deadly poison. How will we handle it? And he's just like, crack, done. All right, next
Yeah.
scene.
But
Well,
so,
what's even better about that is that the net, like you were saying, he cracks the thing, and then it shows him grapple hook again, and then he's inside the building. He grapple hooks the outside of the building, and then just immediately shows him inside in the
Yeah.
middle of the room talking to them
Well-
while she's tied up. And what's really cool about that is that it is a reused scene from earlier where he grapple hooked up with kitchen utensils before that.
it
And so it's not even the right time of day because it's just a different scene. They just copy pasted.
I bet that was part of the lost footage where he was gonna go in the building and fight people. They probably lost it and then just whatever. Who cares?
Probably. Who knows?
But so, anyways, we find out that Brand X girl, who is an X-Men character that has an X-Men suit that says X with the circle of the X-Men on it, is actually a detergent that got recalled. But she went to Mexico and got plastic surgery and came back.
She was a
She's the
genetically
prune
modified
lady.
prune brand is what it
Yes.
was.
Oh,
and it was
a
like
prune
an
brand.
old lady. Yeah, because that's
Mhm.
what the reveal is why she was so mad is because her genetically modified giant prunes with her old lady face logo on it was right next to the Raisin brand logo of Sunshine Goodness.
Right.
So she like was hyper envious of her for being a more successful brand, I guess, and decided to cook up this whole plan.
What we're
Sure.
saying is we can just chalk up an extra thing to all of the phobias that this movie has and put fat phobic there too, because
Oh
Yes.
yeah, no. This movie
Yeah.
sucks on a lot of levels. But they defeat her. She turns into a grandma, and then gets shamed away to the clearance aisle, I guess, again. And then at the end, we just have Dex and Sunshine Goodness getting married with their 4-carat ring, which is 4 carats, not the gem, carats.
That's like
They-
a half decent joke if they actually showed it, but I couldn't actually see what it fucking was. most
Yeah,
of the
they showed it a
time.
lot at the beginning of the film when
Mhm.
he was showing Daredevil Dan the box and was like, hey, do you think it's enough? And Daredevil's like, 4 carats, you sprung for it. But with like, yeah, it's not
Yeah.
super well sold. Like most of the jokes in this film, they're bad jokes that also are sold poorly.
And you know what happens? The scene just fucking ends. Mid-scene. It just cuts at the end.
Mhm.
We're done.
Well, first they have a moment of like they throw a glass with milk on the ground and they break it in a very, Jewish
Yeah.
wedding kind of
Yes.
tradition.
Oh, because he's
And then
Jewish.
they cut to the
Yeah.
outside and someone goes, I didn't know Dex Dog Detective was Jewish. And everyone's like, what the? And I'm like, I don't even know what this joke is. I
What does
don't
this even mean?
What was I supposed to think he was Protestant up till now? Well, of course, Dex Dog Detective is Catholic. I've seen him doing Hail
He
Marys
doesn't-
like 3 times in the
He
film.
doesn't do anything religious at all in the movie, but he's Jewish, so we need to point out. What the fuck does that even mean?
It's nothing to do with anything.
Speaking of like the what does this even mean? Dex Dog Detective has a lot of one-liners that are
Yeah.
brand slogans, but that don't match any brands. He just
Yeah.
like randomly say like the secret's inside.
The secret's
or,
inside is what he uses the most, and
Like out of
it-
nowhere.
there's
Yeah.
no establishing scene of his brand slogan is
Yeah.
the secret's inside. What is he even a brand mascot for?
or when
Dog-
he jumps
Dog
off of a
detective
building, grabbing the like I think
Yeah.
he grabs the stinky cheese man while he does it, and he yells out, "Let's get the strawberry jam out of here," which
Doesn't even make sense.
Like, there's so many little one-liners that are... They vaguely reference food or sound like a slogan, but make zero sense in context.
He is canonically a cereal mascot, and he's Jewish.
Sure.
Those are both canonical things about Dog Detective. I guess.
God, I just want to mention that I feel like the last three people that are like, I didn't know he's Jewish, are the stereotypically Italian, forget about it, moose, and like
Tofu Man.
Kung Tofu Man. Yeah, like the most racially stereotyped.
And the Jewish stereotype nose.
Yeah, the gigantic nose. Yeah.
I did forget to mention that when he beat Lady X, he says, "Frankly, my dear, I don't give a spam," because everything's Casablanca in this movie.
Yes. Yeah, that was the other big Casablanca
But, like,
reference.
I guess that's the film, though, right? We're done. The movie doesn't give a shit. It just ends, right? They had to fit that 45 minutes of fucking war in. They couldn't fit
$65 million well spent.
Jesus.
I have... We've seen a lot of
this.
movies, and I think that this might be the most visually upsetting that I've ever seen a movie.
Yeah.
Everything in it is animated. Like, we didn't even get into the weird chip captain guy that you think might have been Captain Crunch stand-in.
I think that's what they were trying to do.
Was Potato Chip Man, and for the longest time, I didn't know that he was a potato. Thank you, Ty, for pointing that out, because I was really worried about the
French
psoriasis
fry
they gave
captain.
him.
Yeah, it looked like just a horrifying skin texture. And then they later have another character, like the big lady from the generic brand. And she has a weird skin texture, but it's just because her skin is bad, I think.
Yeah, no, it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah, that, by the way, is Brand X Lunch Lady, who is Cloris Leachman.
Great.
So, in 2020, Esquire's Tom Nicholson wrote that the film was the room rendered in horribly sharp polygons, and that it was, and I quote, easily the most horrifically ugly, confusing, and unsettling animated film ever made. And I really agree. Like, I can't think of an uglier film than Food Fight.
This movie's ugly, and it's just a lot of noise.
And it's also, like, not internally consistent in how it's ugly in a lot of ways. So it's not like a style or an aesthetic choice. Like, a lot of people might incorrectly think the Super Mario Bros. Movie is ugly, for example, because it's got like a lot of like, you know, like dark kind of punk imagery and stuff like that, and a lot of like bio stuff with some of the Trust the Fungus whole bit. But like, you know, there's a consistency to all of it. Like, it's clearly creating a setting and an atmosphere. And Food Fight just never does that. Food Fight is maybe the least consistent film I've ever seen, on top of being the most ugly. Like, I've never seen a plot just jump around from scene to scene with no logic as to what's going on.
They made a movie with Mrs. Buttersworth throwing pancakes like ninja stars, and I don't give a shit. How did they do that?
Yeah, they made it they made a scene like that just have the least energy possible. And like Ty is saying, it's weird to me that they managed to get it to be so visually inconsistent, while also constantly reusing animation and actual shots. And yet somehow it still ends up being less consistent.
This movie has problems with lighting, depth of field, location, timing, everything.
Size.
Yeah, models. Models. Like, I'd mentioned it really early on that one of the nice things about using like 3D models in this kind of setting is it's very easy to keep the models consistent between shots if you're just using the same model for everything. And like, Dog Detective has no issues with this throughout the whole film. And then you hit some other characters and it's just like, how did you manage to incorrectly distort this? And obviously, like, Cheezel T. Weasel is a holdover from when it was supposed to be Looney Tunes style. But then other characters, it's just even more baffling.
I do want to mention one quick thing at the end about Dog Detective's model, which I thought was really funny, which is when, for some reason, Sunshine Goodness reaches up and goes, I need to see what's under that hat. And because he's always in like kind of bomber jacket and like a fedora. And even when he goes into his like drunken, I'm sad boy now, which is apparently a tuxedo outfit, he still has the same hat. It's just white now, like it's different
Yeah.
color shading. But so she reaches up and grabs his hat and pulls it off, and there's just another hat underneath because they didn't actually have a model that didn't.
They didn't
have the
model
hat.
him without the hat.
So they
yeah,
just
no.
they just leave it there, and it's like, okay, what was the point of that besides showing that your shitty model hasn't changed?
Is there anything more embarrassing than making an embarrassing movie and then making embarrassing outtakes at the end of it? Like, holy moly.
Yeah, doing the fake outtake thing is icing on the cake.
Ugh.
It's the chocolate frosting from Daredevil Dan.
Can you stop talking about Wayne Brady's frosting for a moment? Jesus.
Didn't someone say I want a chocolate froster at some point? Didn't he at some point basically implicate?
As he was
Mhm.
flying over in his plane over a character that was supposed to be Little Debbie, but they removed their character but not their product from the film. He said that he wanted to give her his chocolate frosting. Yes.
Mhm.
This film is weirdly inappropriate in like just like there's a thing of having, you know, like jokes for the adults in a kids movie.
Yeah.
But this is like there's more of that than the kids movie stuff. So it's like weirdly sexually inappropriate, dripping with Nazi overtones. Like what child is this film for?
I feel like Sausage Party is probably more subtle than this film.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. It
Yeah.
has to be.
It has to be. Yeah.
You know what kids love? Casablanca.
Casablanca, the Nazis. Kids love Brand.
Every time I see that Raisin Brand, I just want to go nuts.
You know what?
I just got
This
a
movie-
jacket.
I think the California Raisins were too good for this film, and that is that is damning.
Congratulations to the California Raisins for receiving the Boyk's Too Good for Food Fight Award.
Yeah, what the fuck? How does that happen?
But we've seen some really visually upsetting movies and some really bad, like, direct-to-video garbage and, like,
Yeah.
director-led projects that were funded through scams, basically, like, for example, Love on a Leash.
Mm-hmm.
This is probably the most visually upsetting, least visually consistent, like,
Mm-hmm.
ugliest, nastiest movie we've ever watched, right? And that is still stunning to me after 70-some movies that this thing, I think, has finally topped them all.
The thing too is like since they had lost all the footage and recreated it in a rush using mocap, like bad animation can at least be funny and charming, right? Like you
Mhm.
get like Colin's Bear animation,
Mhm.
classic video, super funny. No one would say it's well animated, but it's so funny because it's just like this weird clunkiness and it's very charming. Having all this like mocap data just slapped lazily on top of models with like no adjustment is they managed to make an animated film with zero animation
Like-
charm whatsoever.
Mhm.
I would rather watch The Amazing Bulk because at least the animation is awful.
Yeah,
Like in a way
It's-
that's
it's-
entertaining. It's
Yeah,
so
exactly.
bad. Yeah. This is like middle of the road bad because of what they did. And it's still upsetting. Like, I don't know. This is a movie I would not suggest watching at all or getting your friends to watch as a joke because there's nothing there to enjoy.
Yeah, if you want,
isn't. Yeah.
I might recommend the drinking game of if you see Mr. Clean or a Mr. Clean logo on screen, take a drink, and that.
I said take a shot, but
Yeah, well, Boy
you'll
said take
die.
a shot, which, hey,
die,
if you don't want to
but-
remember Food Fight, that's one way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man.
This whole movie, I want to be done with it. Let's go. Let's go
Yeah,
to the
let's-
rating.
yeah.
Let's go rate the only dog in this film. Dex Dogtective. I'll let Ilion start. How would you rate Dex Dogtective?
I feel like I would normally try and rate Charlie Sheen on a scale with Chevy Chase, but unfortunately, or fortunately, he's less creepy perv. Despite the fact this movie is full of creepy perverts, we actually have Charlie Sheen just kind of doing nothing. I don't know how
Yeah.
to describe this character other than it feels like he's a cardboard cutout. Like he's central to the plot, but there's kind of nothing there. He's just empty, right?
Yeah.
Like this is
So you would rate Dex Dog Detective an empty void of a shell of a character out of 10.
this is the liminal space of a brand mascot dog is what this is. This isn't
Okay.
a dog. This is like the idea of what a brand mascot dog is.
All right, Ty, how
This
would
is
you
a
rate?
brand manager's dark, like, mind space is what this is.
I mean,
How would you rate Dex Dog Detective?
I think he's a bad dog. Like, regardless of,
Yes.
is that like? I think this is the case of like a pet. He has no dog-like traits whatsoever. Like, there's literally a single scene of him being able to smell something and be like, "Huh,
Did
that
they-
smells like
oh, yeah,
that
right.
smells like my old wife." Oh well,
Yeah.
and then like
Yeah,
just
and he's
completely
done.
gives up on that line. And other than that, he's just not a dog. Like, you could just have a weird guy in a trench coat and that, and have him be Detective O's, and it would be identical. Him being a
Mhm.
dog has no relevance.
So not
Yeah.
a dog out of 10.
I'm gonna say not a dog out of 10. This is a guy in a dog suit.
All
Yeah.
right. I'm gonna rate Dex Dog Detective as we couldn't legally get McGruff the crime dog out of 10.
Yeah.
Accurate. Yeah.
Yeah. But like
Yeah.
like you said, like there's the take a bite out of crime. There's stuff that makes McGruff like an actual dog. But yeah,
Yeah.
that is the best way to explain this is that he's not a dog.
They
There's
couldn't even
nothing
get the
dog-like
Dog
about it.
Police music video out of 10.
No. They couldn't do
Jesus.
anything to make him a dog at all. He doesn't
No.
like get a pet, he doesn't sniff things, he doesn't like they don't even have him like eat a bone or something. Like there's
Nothing.
nothing.
He
There's
eats
just-
raisins, I guess.
Right.
Which, if
Aren't-
you think,
wait,
if
wait,
you think
hold
about
on.
it, hold on.
Raisins
Raisins,
are poisonous to dogs, right?
raisins are poisonous to dogs. They're also technically the flesh of our Lord and Savior, Sunshine Goodness. So not only does he eat.
Yeah, there's always that
Of the
weird
flesh.
conflation of the brands being the thing they are, but also they're just the icon of it. So
Yes.
they're-
Yeah.
it's like the
They're-
Holy Trinity for every single brand.
But it
Yeah.
doesn't make sense because he's Jewish.
I do love when he lifts up Kid Cuisine Polar Penguin Man because he died, and they're like, oh, and like
Yeah.
there's like this holy light
Yeah.
that comes down on it.
His
and they're
name
like, "Oh,
was
no."
Robert Paulson. His
Yes.
name was Robert Paulson.
It's like they do a whole thing with
God.
that. There's so much weird shit in this, but it is also, I mean, we're talking about some of the good weird moments in this movie, but this movie is also one of the most boring that we've ever watched. There
It's
is
real boring, yeah.
so little to talk about in this film, while also being so much to talk about in this film.
Like,
Mo-
the
the
plot
vast
summary
maj-
on Wikipedia is like 5 sentences total, and honestly, it's probably overwritten. Like, you
Mhm,
probably
yes.
could get it in like 2 sentences. It's brutal.
Absolutely, yeah. This was a hard watch. This movie is all of the stuff to talk about is visual because it is a visual nightmare, but like the plot is just non-existent. Like the characters hardly talk. I feel like Charlie Sheen as the main character probably could have knocked out his entire lines in an afternoon. And it sounds like he did, honestly.
Sounds like he did, yeah.
There's also random moments of characters having clearly lower quality mics and not being in a recording
Mhm,
studio. That happens.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's the same character will clearly have studio record. Like the Moose early on, like clearly has studio quality recording and then switches to just like webcam mic halfway through it.
No, you can't
Yeah,
put
you
a
can just
fan
hear a
on your mic.
fan and a
Stop it.
buzz. It's
Stop it.
really odd.
Hi, ever. So, yeah, we're here recording Rough Cuts. Like, They'll absolutely in the middle of the fucking recording. they'll
God damn
do
it.
that.
Well, anyway, I think we're good. I think we're done with Food Fight.
I'm so
Yeah,
done with this
think-
movie.
Thank you so much for being here, Ty.
Yeah,
Ty
no
Tuesday.
problem. I love movies.
Well, okay. Is there anything you want to plug while you're here?
No,
Ty?
I'm over at twitch.tv/Ty Tuesday. I stream like all the time. If you go there, I'm probably live. That's it.
Cool.
I wanted to say how much I appreciated that Ty came on for this. Thank you very much, Ty, because normally we try and save the ones that we think are real shit for like just Boyks and myself, but I was like, no, Ty can handle food fight.
Again, great closure for me because this was years ago at this point. The
Mhm.
only time I've seen quote unquote food fight before is there was a group that they streamed the visuals of food fight with the audio of Birdemic, and then a year later the visuals of Birdemic with the audio of food fight. So I now get to see the whole package. I guess I should watch Birdemic after this at some
I
point.
guess you might as well
Probably?
complete it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Finish the dark ritual.
Well, you know what dark ritual I'm going to be doing? I'm going to go pray to the Lord and Savior of our soul, Quick Kid Cuisine Penguin, after this. Fuck.
All right, we'll see you next week, everybody.
I could just kill you. That would be lots of fun. More fun than a spanking.
Wait.